doing cancer research, I had to quit smoking again. "Oh, Marty," my wife said, "not again. You've quit so many times that I've lost count. Besides, you've always a grouch for a week when you've just quit." I've deserved these words of encouragement since they were historically accurate. I had quit many, many times, once for almost 2 years, but I always went back to smoking. However, I felt I was not completely powerless over nicotine. If I could go for 2 years without nicotine, I could find a way to control my use. 8 to 10 cigarettes or 6 pipefuls or 3 cigars or 1 chew of tobacco a day. Then I'd be below the Surgeon General's report of lung cancer's incidence of smoking, or in chewing case, lip cancer. Yet my new boss was an ex-smoker, world-class cancer researcher, and was on that original Surgeon General's commission that linked 15 or more cigarettes a day and lung cancer, about a third of all cancer deaths. I'd be in agony again for 96 hours. Big-time cancer researcher. How had I got into this mess? I started smoking a pipe when I was in high school. I looked hep, just like the TV detective in the early 50s, and they even advertised the brand of pipe tobacco that I chose to smoke. It relieved the stress associated with daily living, and the stress of craving a smoke, but I didn't know that then. By the time I got to graduate school, I was smoking 1.5 packs a day, a minimum I didn't fall below for 2 decades. I quit smoking many times. Once I quit, other factors should have influenced my staying quit. In the 60s, my wife and I and our 3 kids, 4 eventually, were living in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and the summer heat required air conditioning. A closed house with both parents puffing away did not induce a good breathing environment for them or the parents. They complained, but when I tried to quit, I never felt free of the craving for a smoke. I tried to limit my use to 10 cigarettes a day, expensive cigarette case, usually refilled twice more daily. I tried to do the pipe thing, 6 expensive pipes and tobacco, bitter taste and foul smell. I even chewed tobacco on trips and went outdoors. Anything to get that nicotine in. I couldn't control the amount, and I didn't feel comfortable when not smoking for any extended period, even 2 years. I must have quit completely, 4 or more days, 15 times from 1966 to 1983. I know, for this nicotine addict, the physical craving for nicotine diminishes after about 4 days, but without a program for living free of nicotine, without spiritual help, the mental craving never goes away. All of this was happening while I was working in cancer research, trying to find a diagnostic marker for liver cancer induced in rats by feeding a chemical carcinogen. We couldn't study lung carcinogenesis. The rats were too smart to stop smoking. Finally, in 1982, my new supervisor was an ex-smoker. It wouldn't do to be the only smoker on his team of more than 10 investigators and 10 assistants. Fate intervened, and then I joined in the Granddaddy 12-step program 2 months after quitting smoking again. I began to study and tried to practice the steps. It was obvious that to take any of the drug, alcohol would re-addict me, and so I could see I must not take even 1 cigarette or nicotine gum or later nicotine patch, or I would be re-addicted to active craving for nicotine. Several months later, I asked my temporary sponsor if I couldn't also add prayer in the morning. Not to need a smoke a day. He said, "You smoke?" He knew what I did for a living. I replied that I liked the other mood-altering drugs. Knowledge of nicotine addictiveness did not help the addict to stop with serenity. Being a good insurance lawyer, my sponsor said, "Why don't you just say that prayer after one of sobriety and use it like a rider on your life insurance policy?" I started doing that on a daily basis and have done it each day at a time for more than 12 years. I ceased craving nicotine shortly after doing what he suggested. In 1994, I decided that I also needed service work for nicotine addiction, or due to increased living pressures, I was in danger of going back to smoking. I joined the fledgling Nicotine Anonymous group, where by the grace of God I could join others who haven't needed a smoke today. Now by practicing the other 10 steps, I can finally keep growing in the presence of loving friends who are also working in this program. Keep it simple.